How does Mr. Diggs respond to these charges?
That he is completely innocent of these false allegations that have been alleged against him. We're confident that after the facts and evidence are reviewed in this case, he will be completely exonerated. Thank you.
Did you give us some of those facts?
Not at this time, but they will be presented, and when they are presented, it will paint a very different picture, and we're very confident that he will be exonerated.
As we welcome you back here on Boston Has Entered the Chat, you just heard from Stefon Diggs' attorneys. Obviously, he pled not guilty today to felony strangulation and other criminal charges stemming from an alleged dispute with his personal chef, still pending legal litigation. But this was the first arraignment or first court appearance for Diggs and his representation. They're going to be setting some bail conditions and future hearing dates as it relates to him. But obviously, a lot to play out still, guys, as it relates to Stefon Diggs. But this is certainly one of those things, I think, that has followed him during his Patriots tenure that was kind of one of those notches against him, if you will.
Yeah, and they even moved this court date for after the Super Bowl, and they meant it. They were like, right after the Super Bowl, you're going to court, and so now he has gone to court. But it began with the pink bag of drugs thing at the beginning before the season.
I know.
Which we were just talking about this. It feels like a lifetime ago because I remember Vrabel commenting on that and saying, "Oh, we don't really know what's going on with that," and then it seemed like all was smooth, and then now this just happens, and the Christian Barmore stuff happening at the same time, and I don't know why. So he switched his lawyer. Do you remember Jack Jones's lawyer, Rosemary Scapaccio?
Yeah.
I love her. Why didn't he switch to her?
I don't know.
She's entertaining.
This thing would have been over today.
Would have been done.
She might have been able to do something.
We are done with this. He is innocent. That's what it would have been. But yeah, this guy seems okay too, I guess. But she's a star.
He has proclaimed his innocence. He did say he's completely innocent, that the facts will present a very different picture in the incident with Diggs and his former chef. So to talk a little bit more about this as well as everything Patriots, we welcome in our pal, Doug's Buds. I'm one of Doug's Buds.
Yeah.
Former colleague here at Nesson, Doug Kyed, now Patriots beat writer at the Boston Herald. And Doug, so great to see you first and foremost, my friend. Always love talking with you. But what do the Patriots do with Stefon Diggs? I know that he's due some money in March. Should he still be on the roster?
Yeah, I think you got to let the court case play out a little bit here and see what comes out, see how this all resolves for Stefon Diggs. And if everything's fine, then, yeah, you probably try to keep him on the roster. But if anything comes out that the Patriots aren't comfortable with, then it's pretty easy to cut bait with Stefon Diggs. He's got some money coming in mid-March. And that's really the deadline for what they can do there. And I guess in the grand scheme of things, if something does come out in the court case, they could probably get out of the contract anyway. But Patriots could certainly use Stefon Diggs next season. They don't have another #1 caliber wide receiver on the roster. If they feel like they can find one and like a trade for A.J. Brown or a free agent, then maybe they would feel more comfortable letting go of Stefon Diggs. But he was everything that they wanted him to be this season. He was a good leader in the locker room. He was productive. Obviously, the production kind of varied a little bit week to week, but currently they don't have anyone better on the roster.
I was just getting ready to say, you kind of led me right to there, Doug. Obviously, Lucy mentioned the pink bag, another blemish on Stefon Diggs' tenure. And now you have this situation, as you talked about, has to play out in the legal system. But you were there every day. You covered the Patriots from start to finish. As you mentioned, Stefon Diggs was pretty much a model citizen, great leader inside that locker room. So what were your impressions of your time around him this season?
I was a little bit surprised, honestly, because you had seen the sideline blow-ups with the Bills. He'd never really had any legal matters before, but didn't always seem like he was necessarily the best teammate. So I actually asked him about that back in December. I was like, everyone had this perception of you. Have you done anything differently this year? And he maintained to me that he's always been the same. This has always been the guy, that everything you see in the media is not necessarily the case, that everyone's always loved him as a teammate. So I don't really know what to make of that. But, yeah, his teammates loved him. His coaches loved him. Drake Maye really liked working with him as well. And I guess there is that potential that if he's here for a second season, maybe it doesn't go as well. Maybe he's happy after he gets paid. But nothing happened on the field or in the locker room that will lead the Patriots to want to stop working with Stefon Diggs.
Yeah, Doug, first of all, it was great to work next to you on Radio Row throughout the Super Bowl week, and it's too bad that it ended the way it did. But now we have these Christian Barmore and Stefon Diggs, 2 court cases that are playing out now here, and it seems like the team puts more support behind one of them rather than the other one, because you have the statements that they released about both, and in Stefon Diggs one, they said, we support him, and in Christian Barmore, not so much that kind of language. Is this something where it could lead to them being likely to kind of move on from Christian Barmore in some way, or is that lack of support for Barmore over Diggs real?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's totally real. Obviously, like you said, Lucy, in the statement, they did say we support Stefon. In the one for Christian, they didn't say it, but it also might kind of be implied because I think the Barmore incident happened in August or July. It was sometime during the summer. And in the statement, they said they were aware of it at the time, or they've been aware of it, and they kept him on the roster. So that's kind of, I guess, actions speaking louder than words, that they were willing to keep him on the roster through all of this. But once again, I think that it's really going to matter how that court case pans out, because they could also get out of Christian Barmore's contract pretty easily. And obviously that would hurt to lose him in the middle of the defense, but Patriots have to be comfortable with everyone who's on their roster, and we'll see what comes out of the Christian Barmore arraignment as well. But yeah, definitely not 2 things that the Patriots necessarily want to be dealing with coming off of a Super Bowl. But in the grand scheme of things, this is happening after the Super Bowl, not during the Super Bowl week or beforehand. So that's obviously a positive. But yeah, just have to monitor that court case as well, see what other information comes out, and see if the Patriots are comfortable continuing to work with Barmore.
Doug, I got a lot of questions, man. I got a lot of questions. So I'm going to fire 3 at you. You just answer them. I was upset about Drake Maye and the offensive performance in the Super Bowl of the offense. Do you think they manipulated the injury report, taking him off the injury report? That's one question. The second one that I had was, is there an issue between the offense and the defense? Some of the things I took away of the NFL films was the defensive side being like, we did our job, and the offense didn't. And then, is there anything to worry about with Drake Maye's shoulder going forward here? Is it good news that he doesn't need surgery, or could it be something that could come down where he might need treatment? I just think of Derek Carr when I think of shoulder injury. So I know I threw a lot at you there, but what are some of your takeaways from those questions?
Yeah, so with the injury report, first of all, he was a full participant in practice, but they still listed the right shoulder on the injury report. So I don't see any issues personally with the reporting that they had there. It was on the injury report. There was never a question of whether he was going to play, and he was a full participant. I do think that it probably affected him in that game, though, because he didn't look like himself out there. And obviously a lot of that could be the protection and Will Campbell and Jared Wilson struggles, and even Morgan Moses and Michael Wenu struggles out there. But, when he's got a Toradol shot in the right shoulder, probably not used to playing with that, I could certainly see how that would potentially affect him. As far as any issues between the defense and the offense, it's tough because it's Christian Barmore on the sideline who's talking about it. Mm-hmm. And you can never, he speaks in such a, specific way that sometimes it's hard to understand exactly what the message is from Christian Barmore, of whether he was saying it ain't us as in it's the offense's fault, or it ain't us as in that's not the way that we usually play.
Yep.
And nothing that Milton Williams was saying during that clip struck me as he was blaming the offense. But there was a clip after the Super Bowl that the Patriots put out of Mike Vrabel greeting players as they walked in the locker room. And the clip that they showed of him and Jalen Hawkins was him saying, hey, we're going to mourn this all as one group. We're doing this all as one group, or something like that. I forgot the exact quote. But I think that might have been him saying to Jalen Hawkins, listen, we're not going to get in the locker room and blame one side or the other after this loss. And I think it was smart, obviously, for Mike Vrabel to get ahead of that, because the defense certainly could have come out of that game saying, look, we did our job. I mean, Sam Darnold was completing 6 of 16 passes at one point in the game. The offense couldn't move the ball. So I don't think that that's a lingering issue, because at times Drake Maye carried the defense this season. But it was that particular clip and the clip from NFL Films did strike me as interesting. And I remembered all 3 questions, which is pretty impressive, I think.
I was going to say, man.
I always throw a lot at you, man.
Joe, I forgot
shoulder
after the first
long-term.
question.
I forget radio and TV sometimes, Doug. I'm all by myself. But are you worried about Drake May's shoulder?
No.
Could anything be there?
And Drake May's shoulder, I'm not worried about it long term. You know, he landed on it awkwardly in that Broncos game, landed on it awkwardly again in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
So, no, I think it's a good
finished.
sign that he doesn't need surgery or anything like that. Yeah.
Well, that's certainly good news. I think Drake will be fine as well. But I think the glaring thing that I saw just as a viewer, just taking it back from there, was just a complete collapse from the protection system. And not to point out Will Campbell, what he was able to do, but where do you feel like should be the Patriots' biggest offseason need to address to shore up some of the things that was glaring during that Super Bowl, Doug?
For sure. I think, first of all, Mike Vrabel said it this week, Will Campbell's not moving off left tackle. So you hope to see some improvement there from him in year 2, which typically happens for rookie left tackles. But I think you'd want some sort of insurance there behind him. So I actually wouldn't mind drafting another tackle in the 1st or 2nd round. And that might seem like a waste after drafting Will Campbell number 4 overall last year. But Morgan Moses isn't getting any younger. He's 35. They were very lucky that he stayed healthy for all 17 games plus the playoff run. So draft a guy who can be the potential right tackle of the future, who can potentially fill in at left tackle if Will Campbell doesn't improve. But I think they really have to do something about left guard, because Jared Wilson, he held up as well as he could this year, but he's really a center. I think that you let Garrett Bradbury and Jared Wilson battle out that center position during training camp, and then you bring in an experienced left guard, whether that is in free agency or the draft. Just get someone that you know and trust you can plug and play at left guard, so that at least Will Campbell has a little bit more help next to him, because Will Campbell was struggling enough on his own, and then Jared Wilson playing next to him was their weakest offensive lineman throughout the season. So as far as Will Campbell goes, you hope he can get better. I will say that after week 11 or 12 or whatever it was, no one was complaining about Will Campbell. Then he suffers the knee injury, and then he starts to struggle a little bit more, and then obviously the competition ramps up in the playoffs, and he struggles a lot. So you hope that he can get back to that level that he had at midseason.
Great point. He certainly had something early. It just lost it when it mattered most.
Yep.
Yeah, he definitely did. Going back to Drake Maye for a moment, watching him walk into the stadium at the Super Bowl, I was struck by how nervous he looked. And it kind of stopped me in my tracks, and I thought, oh no, they're in trouble, just based on how he looked. And I'm wondering, Doug, if you had any perspective into whether or not a lot of it was mental with him, or was it just mostly his shoulder? Or was he in a mental spiral in any way about the shoulder? Was it more mental than actual physical injury?
See, I'm not sure, and I don't want to obviously speculate, but I will go back to another clip that the Patriots shared during the AFC Championship game of Josh McDaniels and Drake Maye talking on the sideline, and Drake Maye saying, like, this is hard. And Josh McDaniels kind of picks him up and says, hey, it's going to be hard, but if we get through these next 4 minutes, it's going to be the most gratifying of your life or whatever. But that showed a little bit of a vulnerability from Drake Maye. And I wonder if he was dealing with some of that stuff in the Super Bowl as well, and whether that it was just he kind of cruised through the regular season. They played some difficult defenses, but not nowhere the same as they played in the playoffs. So I do wonder a little bit if he was struggling just against a defense as explosive and dangerous and multiple as the Seahawks defense, because they were really throwing everything at him. He wasn't getting a lot of help from the offensive line. So it did seem, at least in part, slightly mental from Drake Maye. But I don't know what was going on through his head, obviously, but something certainly changed for him in the playoffs, where he was one of the most efficient, productive, explosive passers in the NFL throughout the regular season. Then he really had a significant drop-off. So I do think the defense started getting to him, as well as the shoulder.
Doug, Ashton Grant would rather be the Patriots QB coach than the Raiders offensive coordinator. Do you think Josh McDaniels had anything to do with that?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. Hey, might not want to work over there with the Raiders, but he is good friends with Tom Brady still. So I don't know if things are all bad for Josh McDaniels there with the Raiders. But another thing that's a really good sign for the Patriots, that Ashton Grant would rather be Patriots quarterback's coach than any team's offensive coordinator. And I was talking to some people at the Super Bowl, actually, that I was surprised that Ashton Grant and Thomas Brown weren't getting more interviews for offensive coordinator jobs, just because those guys have done such a good job with the Patriots. So it is nice to see Ashton Grant getting some attention from the Raiders, but certainly the Patriots would prefer to have him in New England because he did a great job with Drake Maye this season.
Yeah, and led to an MVP runner-up season for Drake. I think he takes that much more of a leap in year 3 with the Patriots. It'll be fun to watch. We'll see what happens. And I didn't get to my final question here, Doug. What's up with Stefon Diggs and Cardi B? We'll save that for you for next time.
Were you with him?
No.
Were you hanging out with him? What happened at halftime?
Did you
I
see
think
what
that's above my
happened,
pay
Doug?
grade anyway. That's
Yeah.
that's a great question for like TMZ
Yeah.
or something. But
I know you got invited to the party,
question.
man. So we'll let you go with that. Doug Kyed, Boston Herald Patriots beat writer. Thanks so much for joining us, Doug.
Thanks,
Always
Doug.
great to see you,
Thank
man.
you, Doug.
Absolutely.
All right.
That's our guy.
Good stuff, man. I love Doug.
He knows
Absolutely
what happened,
love
too.
Doug.
We got to have him
He
back on
does.
for just another
I think
whole
you know
segment.
what happened, too.
I mean, I have my theories. I have my theories on what happened, but yeah.
What do we got next, guys? We do a little rapid fire here?
Well, we want to make sure that we're staying interactive, right? You can call us in, 617-582-CHAT. Leave a voice message, chat 2428. If you want to really talk about your phone, if you got a rotary, whatever you got, cell phone, it all works. You're listening,
it's
watching, calling in, whatever you got to Boston Has Into the Chat. Jemai Webster, Joe Mary, Lucille Burge. We'll be back right after this.
Is that what it looks like in your neighborhood?
It sure does, exactly like that.
This is why you got to get to the
Dreadful.
suburbs like me.
Get down to spring training.
Pay those
God,
taxes. They clean those streets.
miserable.